Welcome back to our show, and again we're coming to you live from the Pegasus Hotel here in Georgetown, Guyana. It's the location of the second Regional Capital Markets Conference put on by the Jamaica Stock Exchange in collaboration with the Georgetown Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Of course, we have with us here wonderful Zalena Khan, and you're about to hear a wonderful story of entrepreneurship, of course, the diaspora coming back to participate in the growth at home and to give back. Zalena, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Zalena, you are CEO and founder, along with your twin sister and daughter.
And her daughter, yes.
Of ZCloud Ventures.
That is correct.
What is ZCloud Ventures?
Years ago, when the internet age started and the cloud basis and describing the cloud, I was looking for a name of my company in the US. First, I should say hi to everyone. I'm Guyanese,
Yes.
by introduction, and I live in Washington, D.C. The name of the business came from that, technology moving into the age of the cloud.
Yes.
And my first name is Zalena, so it became ZCloud.
Yes.
And the last 2 years, coming back here to Guyana, well, 13 years for CPL Cricket, we named the company in Guyana ZCloud Ventures Inc.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. All right. So you would have, well, I don't think you would have enjoyed as much as you would have loved to.
I have to be really politically correct here, as they would say it. I love CPL. We've come here for the last 13 years, excepting for COVID, for every semifinals and finals. So we're very loyal. I think it's a game, right? And we support all of the different teams of it. Of course, I'm very loyal to my Guyana
Amazon Warriors.
Always be. But we try to separate the part of saying, you know, if they don't win, you know, we can't have fun. We had an amazing
Still had
time
fun.
at CPL.
Because CPL is really about fun.
Yes.
It's fun cricket weather.
It is cricket, but you've got, I can't blame the others who are just like, oh my God, I need this, and if it doesn't.
Yes.
I support all the teams. I think it's I enjoy the social aspect of the cricket and CPL here in Guyana.
Great. So ZCloud, now you're back, you're looking at bringing that business back home.
You know, the Guyanese people didn't have that financial ability to go do that. And we made a decision, and we went looking for a couple of houses for our kids, and we ended up with 22 acres of land. You ask me why, and I honestly don't, but I believe in this country, and I believe in where we're going. Because of that acquisition, we actually started a division of Luxe Villas, which is a residential gated community in Friendship, and Butterfly City.
Luxe Villas, luxury living.
Luxury living.
And the commercial side is
Butterfly City.
How did you come up with that name?
I had to give credit to my twin sister, Zalena. Both of the names, we're twins, and I'm not sure where my mom and dad got this, but if you know the fairy tale Goldilocks and Rapunzel, that's where Lux came from. The concept of the luxury, I think, is where Luxe came from. We went through a number of names, and we wanted to give something that can represent what we're bringing. Butterfly City has a story. He has a tattoo on her hand, and butterfly represents freedom. It's the metamorphosis of the life cycle. And I would say that we're at that stage of our lives over the last, 30 years. And that's how Butterfly came about.
You know that which you just spoke to, that metamorphosis, really encapsulates the finance minister's presentation this morning. Can you imagine? He spoke about Guyana coming from where things were tough and hard, and they took certain decisions, and the country was on a particular path already, and then you discovered oil.
I tell people internationally we won the jackpot, but don't expect everything to change overnight. You have to look at all of the things that's happening. Infrastructure in this country, right? They're putting in the right things. They're diversifying, right? And not concentrating on just oil. Those decisions is what you're going to see. My advice to anyone as you're coming in, be patient, right? And then you're going to get that. So, like myself, when I came in, I'm in the US, I've dwelled in a little bit of real estate, but not enough as a developer. But I think that where Guyana is going and the need, we're going to get there.
Talk about that, because you know, one of the things about our diaspora, Caribbean diaspora, I mean, is that they always want to come back. They always want to give back. They always want to come back, own a little piece of home, and they tend to bring that experience that they've had internationally back home. And you're doing just that. But as we talk about real estate, it's all about location, location, location. And have you looked at that 22 acres and says, you know, this location is going to evolve into, surrounding us will be this kind of infrastructural development that fits our luxury commercial, you know, development?
I'm glad you asked me that question, because I think in the last 2 years, this project is a 5-year project. You know, we're hoping we stick to that 5 years. I think everything is looking like we'll get there because things are happening faster. But one of the very first things I had in the first year, lots of the conversation, why did you get in Friendship? Why are you there? I mean, this is an agricultural area. It's underdeveloped. It's not in the city. It's not in Oval. And I tell people, don't be short-sighted. It's long-sighted. It's the vision of where you want to go. We know the president's vision about Silicon City. It's going on that side. As living in the US, one of the things that I have learned the most is access to an international airport. So it was important for me to be closer to an airport, which with the new 4-lane road, it's passing through there. So infrastructure coming to the airport is going to be there. You've got the airport that is right there. You've got the new Silicon City. What's also important is the access to Berbice and Essequibo. From that location where the new harbor bridge is going, we're like 5 or 10 minutes away from that. So as you get off, you can get onto the West Coast, and then you can take the other side completely not having to pass through the city.
You know, you at the start you said Guyana has hit a jackpot. But I say ZCloud is the one who's hit a jackpot. Because when you're looking at that, so you've looked at the highway coming through, the developments that are coming, and you're fitting luxury living near an international airport. Talk to me about what's the feel of that, you know, how, as you see the plan unfolding, having decided previously, I want a couple of houses for the kids, yes, gotten that 22 and see this plan unfolding.
I had the model of 2 of the homes delivered to my house about 30 days ago. One single family home and a vision of what it would look like. And I wake up at night and I walk outside and I look at that and I say, my vision is coming to life. I think people look at the very big thing and says, oh my God, here's all of the hurdles. One of the things that I've learned to do is take one step at a time and look at what you've achieved. So every single week and month, I am saying, what did I achieve? And so when we bought the land, like I said, the kids were coming back. And then we saw this potential over, and we wanted to live we wanted the safety of a gated community. We wanted, my son had broken his ankle, and I was able to move the wheelchair in the house. I wanted wheelchair accessibility. I wanted to come out in the afternoon and walk outside. We have a canal. One of the unique things about our project is we have a 20-foot canal running through that. And it's very controversial of you should fill it and just sell houses. I'm like, no, that's what I want to be, the unique identifier in my community. I should be able to walk and jog in the mornings and the afternoons, because we're talking about 6,700 length, right? So the design around it was, what would Zalena and Selena want when they come here, right? I want air condition. I love Guyana. The heat outside, it's just too much. But we're also trying to take this and say, how do we put up the tropical feel? I'm like, we have to go, 2-3 hours out to get certain resorts. There's some in Soesdijk, and there's beautiful other places. How can I get some of those in my backyard? I'm staying at the Marriott, and I came down at 2 o'clock one morning because I was dealing with a UK client. And I sat there, and the sense of safety, security, and the pool, and the lighting, and 2, 3, 4, that's what I wanted. I wanted that feeling. But I also want, I think, the people we have talked to that is looking to come back, they want that luxury that they were accustomed to in New York, in Canada, in the UK. And we think that there's not a market sometimes to some of these when we talk to people, but there's so many people. So that's the niche market I'm going after. There is about 10 to 12 other developments going around in the country, and I say people have a choice today. You choose what matters to you.
Who, as we talk about markets, who is that target market that you're looking at for this development?
I think for the residential side, it's going to be somebody who's looking for these key features in a community. I want to come home and I want to feel safe. I want to come home and I want a home that has water, air conditioned, furnished, or I want a vacation home. So you've got this remigrant people who might be looking for an investment. And I want to be careful how I say this. You've got the very larger companies who can fund most of their projects. I'm not one of those. But I wanted to use this project to allow the small person, a Guyanese who is in New York or Canada or the UK that says, I want to own a property. I can't do like the rest, but I've got $100,000. So we've got a project that says, let us pool together. If these homes are costing, I'm going to say $500,000, 5 of you come in as an investor the same way we do it in the US, but you own that property and there's a management rental here. I think the second aspect of who is going to be, when you come in, there's a car rental, there's a medical concierge, there's an office space, there's a shopping mall. I want to get my nails done. I want my brows, I want my hair, I want dry cleaning. And those are the challenges that we've had with conversations with people in the last 2-3 years. So we're going to do it that says the people who live in the community there can access that there, but also around. Like we've met with the NDC and they're very happy to see that happening there because there's nothing around. Let's put it there, there's nothing around there. So I've been called crazy, meaning what are you doing? Why don't you move to another location? Why are you? I believe in the vision, and I also believe that you have to take risk, but mitigated risk. And that's what we're doing today.
So you're a pioneer. You're not only a visionary, but you're a pioneer.
Yes.
And you believe, for example, that between the Guyanese diaspora and between the people that will be coming, the workers,
the investors, the workers, yes.
Because a lot of people are pouring into Guyana, whether to do work, whether, as part of missions and so on, they will need somewhere to stay. And not everybody necessarily wants to be locked up in a hotel.
Yes.
And you're providing that opportunity.
That's what we are. I think the rental side of it, we're allowing people to choose, do you want to invest and own? We manage that rental for the people who don't want to own but are here for a number of years. The amount of, I want to be careful with it. Well, employees of these foreign companies that are coming in, and there are choices all over, but all of us, if you talk to every 10 or 15 persons, their requirements, I want to stay here because of. And we're respectful of that.
And there are people who want to enjoy
and once they enjoy that,
it is,
yes,
the real side of the
yes.
country. Talk to me about more about the consultancy side of the business, as entrepreneurship is evolving, as businesses are growing, they are needing that kind of a guidance, as to how to be efficient and to optimize. Are you bringing that to them?
Yes. So I think today, if we look at all of the companies, small, medium-sized companies coming into the country, and the compliance that the government is asking for, we know in the long run we're going to go paperless. We're not today. We're a lot of paperwork, in most of the processes, and we've got people that are sitting at a computer and going through this. The solution we're bringing is Oracle NetSuite ERP, and that's been around the world. That solution is used large companies on the stock exchange. So we know if somebody is trading on the stock exchange and all of the compliance with SAC, private equity funding as well. So you have a system that's coming in, accounting, HR, payroll, logistics, all of these things that are there. And as we talk to companies here on the ground, we're seeing that need. The challenge, I think, is going to be people tend to watch one person get it and then go for the other. So we've got a strategy where we're going to look for a couple of companies to pilot this program. And then once we do that, because I could give you a lot of pilots from the US and international, but I think once we get that locally here, I think people will begin to see that. We are also doing some conferences like this where we're going to share on the different industries, manufacturing, retail, logistics. We had a conversation yesterday with a gentleman who was talking about reconciliations between credit cards and banks and transactions, and if we can do that. And I said, let's talk, because those are the things. If there's one thing I'll tell people, every business is unique. Although we might be in the same industry, you might be selling a book and it might be selling mine differently. The system has been made in such a way that it can be customized to your business. We are also, just to make that note, we are also authorized to resell the NetSuite Oracle software in all the English-speaking countries in the Caribbean. So Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, Trinidad, Belize, the islands and stuff like that. So we're going to see it beginning to expand, but we started here in Guyana first.
As you talk about it, you're so excited. Do you see yourselves getting to that point? The business is off the ground, you might need to scale, and you might need to go to the capital markets. Is that something that you're looking at?
Do you know, it is the reason why we're here today. And I will say this, we were scheduled on Tuesday to do a session on NetSuite. And then we found out about this last week, Thursday, and we made the decision to reschedule our session to attend here. And the reason for that is I wanted to understand, I'm a financial background person, right? A chartered accountant, a CPA. I wanted to understand what was being offered in Guyana. There was a gentleman that asked a question about explaining a little bit more. My one thing is, I think it needs to be a little bit more for the layman person. Like I came in, and the very big companies that covered were financing here and there. My question would be, how can I benefit, and what are those packages that I can manage for my product? That's what I wanted today. Do I go to debt financing? Do I go to equity? Do I go to an IPO down the road? That's in my head right now that we are projecting. So you'll see every 6 months, things change as we explore that. But that's why we're here.
That's a good question and a good statement, because you're the second person I'm talking to who's saying, yes, we're hearing nice things, yes, it sounds good, but it's at the high level. Maybe they need to break it down a little bit. So as you say,
yes,
it could be that when your project is analyzed, for example, you might need to start out with initial debt.
That's
or
correct.
Maybe a private equity, and they say, well, you know, as we look to scale up the project, we go to the equities market and we list, and so the initial funders might be able to get back theirs, or they might well stay in because they said this is looking like
yes.
ostrich, which we saw.
Yeah, I think a lot, what I would say over the years, I always make a comparison. I says businesses are successful, they do 5-year projections. Right, they don't make a 1 year and they stick to that. You make it 5 years, but then you go through, you know, every quarter you're reflecting back, you're adjusting, because as things change in the country, you have to change. If you don't change, you're going to be left behind. There was a gentleman last night that said, we were having a conversation, he was interested in being an investor in one of those or purchasing, and he had some suggestions around, well, why don't you just build an apartment building, and just that's easier to do and it's going to be done and you'll get your money out. And that's interesting from a financial perspective. And when we started, it was something that we didn't want to do that. We wanted something to stand time, because we're coming from the US with what we have learned in that experience, and I would like to start to create that kind of environment here. Is it easy? Is it cheap? Absolutely not. But we've got to take baby steps and start saying, we'll make that change one at a time. And that's why we're going to stick to it for right now. 6 months from now or a year from now, some things may change. But I'll tell you one thing, my vision of what I want for a lifestyle community would not change.
And I think that lifestyle community is exactly what Guyana will need,
Yes,
given the type of development, given the type of growth that we see happening. Zalena, I want to thank you for coming and chatting with us today. Absolutely enjoyed this conversation. And I'm looking back to coming back to Guyana, maybe next year, maybe the year after, and maybe spending some time in Luxe Villas.
This is the place to be.
Absolutely,
it's a pleasure.
great to
Thank
have
you.
Thank you very much.
You.
We've been chatting with Zalena Khan of ZCloud Ventures. Of course, she has a lot to bring back to Guyana. We're looking forward and following the success of ZCloud Ventures.